Hello everyone, and welcome back to Let's Play Witcher 3 on a Witcher Wednesday. I'm your host, Colors Fade. It's episode 22, and we're on the hunt for the Griffin school gear. We got 4 of the 6 pieces last time. There's another piece out here on this point. So we're going to head off in that direction. Over there to the west, to the northwest. And see if we can get it. Of course, this trip is not without danger. And right away, we're going to run into ghouls. Because they have a nest nearby. And whenever possible, you should definitely destroy these nests. Not the least of which, because they're going to give you some XP. And of course, monster parts are always good. Used for our alchemy.
Ghoul nest. Ought to just destroy
Yes,
it.
you should. But the main crux here is that I want to get the Griffin gear. And then I want to consider changing my build. Because I've never really done a signs build before. For instance, this part is really fun, being able to use Ard to knock guys off their horses. And that's just the most basic, simple version of Ard. But I've seen some videos and watched other people play and watched them do the freezing Ard, which seems really fun. And then Yurden as well can get turned into something pretty powerful. So I really do like the swordplay in the game, but I would like to be able to augment it with stuff like that, with a little more powerful versions of that. So that's my thought process, and the Griffin gear is really set up to make your signs more powerful and make your stamina regeneration better. So on the way out to this point on the land, see to the left there's 3 red dots. I don't know if those are monsters or men. Might deal with those guys later. There's a village here, and it's a little bit creepy because there's nobody here. It's very misty. Very foggy. But there's not a soul here. My first thought is this is one of those villages where if you clear out some monsters, they can turn this into a settlement. You'll see settlers show up, like we saw several episodes ago.
Slow now.
But I can't see any obvious monster issue here. I don't see a nest nearby. I don't hear anything. And so I don't know what's going on with this village, and maybe it's tied to a quest later on. There is the tower also, which could explain why the village is empty. Maybe there's something going on in this tower. But like a lot of towers and other locations in this game, it's not obvious if you can even get inside there. Now right there you can see some wolves coming. Pain in the butt. Swordplay and dodging in this game is so fun, and then when you combine it with your magic like that, it's just a blast. Took me a long time to get used to this though, but it is a really fun combat system. But up there you can see there's paint on these rocks, so they're climbable, which would indicate that there's a way into this tower. Maybe we can climb up there and get in. But unfortunately, I can't find a way, and maybe I'm just missing something obvious, but it doesn't seem like there's a way in here, and there's no grappling hook. Unfortunately, we don't have the Far Cry grappling hook. We can jump up here, but there's no entrance there. And Geralt isn't much of a climber anyway. You can see there's an inside in there. There's a floor, but is there a way into this place? Unfortunately, I can't find one. So if anybody knows how to get into this place, let me know. It's down from that point right there. Isolated shack. So I'm going to head up the coast. I need to actually get off Roach and spend more time walking and looting plants and harvesting my herbalism. But there is a wyvern flying around this lighthouse. So this is where a piece of the Griffin gear is. It's got to be in there somewhere, but we can't get the bridge down. Fortunately, there is a standing stone down there, a place of power, and that's a pretty good indication of where you need to be. So our trick is going to be finding a boat to get us in there, because obviously we can't get in through the bridge. This is a really nicely designed area. CD Projekt Red, once again, showing that they can do some really cool designs. And I'm figuring right up there, there's a bunch of what looks like houses and stuff like that near the water.
Slow now. Whoa.
So I'm thinking there's got to be a boat there. There didn't look like there was anything down the west coast that would indicate there was a boat. So I'm thinking that place over to the east. But these are bandits. They're not monsters. I don't think these guys are responsible for the town being empty. But hey, they're bandits. So any chance to work on my fighting skills.
You'll never learn.
Oh, that is a way to behead a man. So I don't know what these clowns are doing. It might have warranted walking around the perimeter of the village to see what else I could find, but I was more interested in getting over here and getting a boat. I thought this was a village. From the map, it looked like it was a village, but this is actually just a battlefield. There was a lot of fighting going on here. They built a lot of structures here. But there is a boat. So that was a really good guess. Looking in the map, trying to figure out where can we find a boat. Unfortunately, we have to get a little wet to get out to it, but the sun is shining. So Geralt will get a dry off. There's some critters over there, but I don't have the inclination to go fight them because I'm really interested in getting this other piece of Griffin gear and dealing with this lighthouse. Now on the way, there's this. You can see on the overhead map there some kind of loot here, and I get a little panicked about this. In real life, I'm a really good swimmer, and I've been swimming since I was about 6 years old. And I can swim all day in a pool, and I can tread water forever, and all that kind of jazz. But I have a deathly fear of swimming in open water where there are fish and other sea creatures. Especially if I can't see very far into the water. I don't know what's worse, not being able to see or being able to see into the water. It causes me a lot of panic. So even in a video game, this causes me a lot of panic, a lot of anxiety. And that's why after I give up trying to shoot these drowners with this crossbow and dive in, what I needed to do here is use my Witcher sense to figure out what to loot. I saw that chest down there and thought, oh, that's got to be it. I didn't even use my Witcher senses. And maybe that is it, but I don't think so because the icon on the mini-map stays white. It doesn't go gray. So what that tells me is that we didn't loot everything here. And what I didn't know at this point in time is that the crossbow ends up being a very effective tool for killing drowners underwater. And I should have just whipped out the crossbow and shot all those guys. But since I didn't, missed my chance to get that loot. May have to go back there and get it just to appease my conscience. There's our place of power, and if you're an idiot like me and you're not exactly sure where the entrance to this place is, you might end up swimming around this lighthouse a couple of times. Let me assure you, you might think that the entrance is over here in this kind of isolated area. It's cut off from the rest of the ocean, but that's not the case. If you come out to this little island here and hang a left and look down, that's where the entrance is. So we have to get, and you can see, I love how it told me marker entrance, and I was like, oh, cool. Geralt has a little bit of a problem swimming around, but there it is. And so the game does a really nice thing here. It tells us that we can use the crossbow underwater, which is really cool. It's saying your mobility is restricted underwater, and you can use the crossbow, but you do need to be close. And unfortunately, they start coming in from behind. And I'm really bad at aiming the crossbow. But the nice thing is you could see there, it's a single hit device underwater. You shoot these guys with a bolt, and they're done. So I like that a lot. I'm thinking, I'm not going to fight drowners on land anymore. I'm just going to find a deep spot, jump in the water, and use my crossbow. The only unfortunate part of all of that is that using the crossbow is really awkward, especially on a PC. There's a lot of commands you can remap on the PC to make things a lot easier. For instance, I've remapped the parry button and the dodge button and the roll button, and it makes combat so much easier when you can remap things. But the crossbow is such an awkward device in this game because you have to press a button to bring the crossbow out and point it. Then you have to use the mouse to aim it, and then you have to take your finger off the button that you use to bring out the crossbow in order to fire it, instead of just using like a left mouse button click to fire it. And it doesn't appear that you can actually remap that part of using a crossbow, which is really unfortunate, because what I'd really like to do is press the button to bring the crossbow out, aim it with the mouse, and shoot it with the mouse. But it doesn't work. I'd like to just press the left mouse button and have it fire the bolt. But it doesn't do that. So, how to avoid colossal vessels. Rolling in the deep. This is where Adele got the idea for that song. I jest. I doubt she even knows what The Witcher is. She does have a fantastic voice, though, and thank God she's one of the people who, to this day, still doesn't use auto-tune. That's gotten sickening. I can't listen to popular music anymore because of that. Especially when you, like me, grew up on music from the 70s and 80s and 90s before auto-tune, when people had talent and used it. And you go back and you listen to things like the Fleetwood Mac album, listen to Rumors, listen to stuff like Queensryche with Jeff Tate. He's just such an amazing singer. But there were so many amazing singers. And we don't have that anymore. We have auto-tune and it sounds like shit. Here we go, lower the bridge, so at least we have that way out. But we still haven't got our Griffin thing. And that ladder on the right there is what I did not notice. The first time I'm just completely spacing it out and missing it. Even while I'm setting this torch on fire, I'm missing it. I'm thinking it makes the most sense for the Griffin blueprint to be up here. I'm thinking the most obvious thing CD Projekt Red wants you to do is go up to the top of this tower and fight this wyvern. I think I've been calling it a griffin, but it's not a griffin. It's a wyvern. And the only question at this point is whether it's high enough level that it's going to eat you in one bite, or do you actually stand a chance against this thing? Now, since we're chasing the Griffin gear, and the Griffin gear is level 11 to start with, I would think a reasonable game designer would make this so that the wyvern is something you can defeat. But that does not take into account the second factor in this combat, which is how freaking small your arena is. Now we get sparklies here, and this is where I was thinking, oh, this is it. But it's Dobromir's journal, and the poor kid is lamenting that his dad is chewing his head off about having to come up and deal with the lighthouse, and he'd rather go to forge in town or work a foundry. He's not very fond of this idea of working in the lighthouse. Feels like it's work that's only suitable for a golem and not a person. And why can't he go learn to be a smith like his ancestors? This top of the lighthouse, it needs a guardrail. There's our wyvern. It's not so overpowered that we can't defeat it, but we are fighting on a very, very small surface. And I'm using the wrong spell. I'm putting Yrden down and it's not helping. What I want to do is hit this guy with Ard, but I pressed the wrong button. Not too bad if we light him on fire. He's almost dead. And so are we. But look, there's a sparkly right there. Now there's a corpse here on the top, and there's a corpse at the bottom. That'd be me. Third time's the charm. I'm thinking, oh, let's loot the corpse. The Griffin blueprint is not in there. You could see we had a chance to loot that guy, and it's not in there, and the wyvern's going to ditch us the third time. So I guess third time isn't the charm. And we're not Aragorn. This isn't the Flaming Brand, and it isn't the Hilltop. But I'm thinking maybe the crossbow, because you can shoot critters and have them fall into the water and drown. And I was thinking, oh man, if we could just drown him in the water, that'd be great. But he recovers. So we'll Ard him down. Boots us with his head. He's very good at that. And there he snaps his jaws, and the fourth time is over. So, opportunity number 5. I don't know that the crossbow is that much of a important thing here. I think if we can just Ard him down and then stay away from his head. I think we got to keep rolling around. This is just such a small, tight place to fight on, and there's no guardrail. But on the 5th try, he goes down. So he's a dead wyvern. We pick up some ore, which is nice, but we still don't have the Griffin blueprint. Which means it's got to be down below. And we saw earlier when we fell down, there's that ladder right there. So there's a platform up here. It's obviously open enough for you to fall onto. And there's the sparkling. Crafting notes and the Griffin silver sword. So there we go. Crafting notes on this thing. So we have 5 of the 6 pieces of gear. And now that I have it, I'm really starting to consider that what I might want to do is change my build, because I've never gone through the game and done a signs build before, a magic build. The times I've played the game, I've always done potion builds, what people call euphoria builds, but I wasn't even thinking of it as being euphoria based. When I first was playing the game, I was just thinking, I really like the simplicity of imbibing some potions, getting your toxicity way up, and then just cutting through things with your sword. It's very simple and effective. But the signs are so fun. And you can make them so much more powerful than they seem. So I'm really considering doing that. I think it would be really cool to play the game that way. So I got to take a look at some builds, and I got to figure out what I want to do, because you only have so much that you can build. You can't be a jack of all trades, really. You do that and you're going to die. But this lighthouse, this location, very, very cool. Very neat. So I figure we got one piece left.
What's going on here? Why isn't anyone putting that out?
We want it to burn. Got it?
Piss off, or we'll fry you along with that fucking elf!
There's a third way out of this situation. Let's dance.
So on the way to the last piece of gear, we run into these bozos who have set this house on fire. Apparently they have a problem with the elf inside. And there's a guy over there who appears to be brandishing his axe like he's some kind of tough guy. We pop his head off. And I'm thinking that's the last guy here. This again, Ard gonna come in super useful here.
Fast.
There's our elfish friend. Now I figure there's got to be a reward for this. After looting all of these bozos. But she won't talk to us. She's not interested in talking. And there's a reason for that. And we'll learn about it in the next episode. A short distance away from her house, I can feel and hear this bear breathing down my throat. So I think we should take care of him. And after all, I need to get used to using this crossbow. Especially if we're going to kill drowners with it underwater. Oh, but we should have used some magic there. He's a big bear. I gotta get better at dodging his attacks. I gotta get better at dodging everybody's attacks. I'm taking way too many hits. But we need to go search the Lord's Castle, which is up here, across this bridge, which is broken. Looks like we have a nest here. So before we can even get to the Lord's Castle, we should go take care of the nest of Neckers. Die, you little Necker. More monster parts for us. It's always good. Yeah, because one of the things I saw, and I saw this like after I'd completed The Witcher 3 for the first time, and I'd done my whole potion and swords build and really liked it. And then I'm watching a video of someone and they're using Ard, and it's freezing enemies. And it's just freezing huge swaths of enemies. And then they can even make it work 360 degrees around them instead of just in a cone out in front of them. And I was like, man, that looks fun. And I know that you can make that build pretty overpowered, and that's all you do is just kind of spam cold, except against enemies who are more or less immune to it. And I don't want to do that. I like using this sword, so I want to have it as a tool, not as a primary means of doing damage. I know everybody's always about making the OP builds, and I'm more about finding a way that makes it fun to play the game. The sword is fun, but I like using the magic. So I just want to be able to do both. And maybe imbibe a couple of helpful potions too, so
Necker's surface here. Dig their way like rain.
If there's a way to make it a little bit more jack of all trades, I'm gonna try. But the one thing I think I don't want to do is just go through the game and not use signs. So that's basically how I did it the first time, and that's not good. And those things, I wish I had a better eye at recognizing that, because it would have been nice to use that and blow those guys up. I don't recognize those barrels very well. I need to get to where I can notice them or be on the lookout for them. And then I need like a flaming bolt from my crossbow would be useful. So we do have some mutagens here that we can build up, and we have a bunch of blue ones, which is great. So we could start putting together the sign build, I think. Would be pretty cool. The Devil's Puffball. And then we're missing a bunch of stuff, but this is nice. The Golden Oriole, which is going to neutralize poisons. The Maribor Forest, which accelerates adrenaline points. And the White Rafford's Deduction. Restore Vitality. I have 3 points available, so we should spend those. And again, Undying is great. Love it. But I do have to start thinking about how would I want to do this if I want to build signs. We haven't poked hardly any points into potions anyway yet. So it may be possible without respecing to make a signs build at this point. I'm not entirely sure. I need to go through all of the different builds. I found a couple of build videos, how to really make use of the Griffin gear. Resolve, adrenaline point loss. We need to use that. So I've got all this stuff set up here. Undying, which I really like. Not dying when we hit 0 is really nice. I like that a lot. But I did see one of the cool things was like you can augment the shield. I think it's called Quen. You augment the shield so that when enemies hit the shield, it actually gives you health back. That also looks like a really cool ability. There's the Lord's Castle. Looks like a lot of fun. The last piece of gear, the last blueprint's supposed to be here. And you can see some critters crawling on the ground, and you can see from the tail there that we're dealing with those big insect things, echimeras or whatever, or Endregas. No, echimera is the bat vampire thing from last episode. These guys, though, and they're poisonous, I believe. So if we were going to use that deduction to stop the poison from us, this is nice. Oh, I shouldn't have done that because he was on fire. Ard will put out fires like that. I shouldn't have done that. And one of the things you can do on the remapping of the controls is you can set it to do quick casting so that you can just press a key and it'll always cast that particular spell. But I kind of like having it set up so it casts whatever my assigned spell is on my 5th mouse button. It makes it really convenient. So I don't know, I might have to experiment with both of those. There's some loot in this place. Not obvious yet which direction we need to go. Gotta look for the sparklies. Got something moseying around outside there. So one of the reasons I like doing these treasure hunts for the unique gear, though, the cat gear and the griffin gear and all that stuff, is they typically send you some pretty cool places. So there's a sparkly, and it's something written in Elvish, I would assume. I cannot read that. And neither can Geralt. There's a ladder here. Should definitely go up. There's a bunch of spider webs. No doubt. Swordsman's boots. Ingots. All kinds of other junk like that. But not the thing we're looking for. Mushrooms. Get your mushrooms. You can't light that on fire, unfortunately. There's no prompt to light it on fire. I don't know if you're supposed to be able to light it on fire some other way. Your spell is too close to the ground to catch that on fire. And then I'm thinking, well, there's a bunch of cobwebs up here. Can we just light those on fire? Nope. We'll shadow box our way through. Way to go, Geralt. Just shadow box. That'll get you there. Monster nest. Wow. That sounds ominous. What kind of monster nest could we be dealing with? Oh, it's the flying kind. It's the harpies. I like fighting the harpies. I like how you can knock them out of the sky, first of all, which is kind of fun. And then when they're on the ground, they're kind of gangly and not very coordinated. Come down here. Oh, that one's not going to land in the water, so it'll come back. Come here. Get over here. Thinking crossbow, but we don't need to. That move is always so great. I love that move. The stab it into the ground move is fantastic. And there's still one more. Where are you at? Get over here. Some crits there. That's nice. Oh, hello, Lucy. Cat has just showed up. She's on her way to her window slot in my office. She's got a little bed that hangs off the window. She really likes it. Climbing up here to see what the heck is going on, but the nest is not actually up here. It's back down here.
Harpies got their nest here.
And it's right there. It's not obvious right away. You might expect that many harpies to have a nest that looks a little more prominent, but that's it. Destroys that. There's something in here. It's a Velis rune stone, but that's all. Still haven't found the Griffin gear. The blueprint is somewhere, but there's a door over here. We can't just open the door. We have to punch it. There we go. Ballstick's letter. This is, may the gods smile on you and me, sis. Now I'm asking you to read this careful, for I got to say is important. Soon as you set hands on this writing, gallop off to that fence Kramer, what's based in Maribor. Tell him we got some first-class gear and Witcher sword diagrams to sell. I can see you now scratching your head, or more likely your arse asking, did I hear that right? You sure did. 'Twas my luck to come to care for a Witcher. That's interesting. Witcher's a good man. First he helped the Baronet solve the riddle of the lighthouse. And then he killed a dragon and ate all the peasants. Problem is, a dragon's no easy pickings, and our valiant hero got quite the licking taken out. He's done for, that's certain, so soon as they bury him. Oh, and so that's how he got the gear. Okay, well. Witcher George's confession, but we get all the Griffin School gear now. Now, whether we can actually get it made, I don't know. I, the undersigned George of Kagan, a Witcher by trial, testify as follows. While traveling through the Velen, I received a summons to provide professional testimony. So this Barstlov stands accused of causing several shipwrecks near the lighthouse, which is his duty to keep. Yeah, and the ships led astray by errant signals from his lighthouse have repeatedly crashed on the shore. He was blamed for this, but what he found is that no trace of night wraith activity. That was what they were blaming on. There was likewise no signs of noon wraiths, mamoons, or anything else. I did, however, find the catastrophe's true cause. They were not the fault of the night wraiths blamed by the accused, but neither were they the fault of the lighthouse keeper himself. The accidents were caused by local hooligans who have taken to lighting fires on the hill at night and then robbing the ships that subsequently wrecked upon the shore. So the lighthouse keeper was innocent the whole time. It wasn't night wraiths like he said it was, but there were some people who were responsible. unfortunate. Anyway, the Witcher died here, having dealt with the dragon and taken a bunch of wounds. And now we have all the pieces of the blueprints, which is great. So I'm excited about that. Now we have to see if we can find an armor smith to put it together and figure out how much we're missing. That's the problem. So folks, you know the drill. Thanks for watching. As usual, if you dig it, give it a thumbs up. Leave questions and comments down below. Let me know if you know how to get into that one keep we saw at the beginning of the video, if I'm just missing something there. And until next time, happy gaming, everyone.